I'd like to welcome you to our presentation day about using SharePoint for during project implementation. And we have a couple of questions we pulled up here at the beginning. Kind of wanted to poll the audience for experience with SharePoint and roles on projects. So everyone knows SharePoint? Just going to give another few seconds here. Okay. So then I guess I don't need to do a presentation. Before you get concerned or too excited, I guess whichever being the case, I'm not doing a full course on SharePoint. As you can see from the screen, I'm going to do a brief overview of how we've come to use SharePoint for alternative delivery projects here at TxDOT, and basically provide some sample screenshots of some of our projects and how we've used it on the sites. We do use SharePoint for procurement, but I'm not going to go over that today. Oh, so it wasn't set up this way, but let me click through these, because I don't want to read them all to you. Since our role in alternative delivery projects focuses on contract oversight rather than design functions, SharePoint has been a really great, highly effective platform for us to use for project management for the past 8 years. We started in 2008 with the Connector project. With over 80 sites on SharePoint, it has evolved into our electric content management system, which is obviously different from an electric document management system. Namely, the key difference is the ability for us to also store data in our system, as well as the metadata that we actually store with documents, and that helps us specifically in trying to sort information quickly when we have a lot of documents or records within SharePoint. We also do use it for the entire life cycle of our projects. That includes pre-procurement, procurement, design and construction, and operations and maintenance. While the great majority of our sites are related to projects, we do have several sites that are set up for administering the program, also for special assignments that we have for our group or our division, and then even for managing our consultant contracts. So this leads us to our first pop quiz question. So the main function of SharePoint is? There is no right answer to this one, but I'm glad it wasn't 100% C. Again, since our role for alternative delivery project is to do contract oversight, there is a key difference in the systems that we use that we need and utilize for alternative delivery. As you all are likely aware, for design bid-build projects, ProjectWise is used very collaboratively for design files, and it is the most appropriate system to use for that. It is not anything that we plan or intend to use SharePoint for. And on our projects, since the developer is the one that is responsible for the design, they basically typically select their design platform, and design files are usually not submitted to us through our oversight process. Instead, we receive our final or release for construction files in PDF format for review. SharePoint as a platform does provide us a superior system because it handles verifiable version control of documents and records. Also globally manages metadata. It creates an excellent audit trail for data, documents, records, everything that's produced during the entire life cycle of our projects. So this graphic is to give you our big picture of the business process for what we use SharePoint for during implementation. We basically have 3 buckets that we categorize things in. We have a contractor upload site. This is on each project. We have a project record center, and then we also have an implementation team site. The process is usually kicked off by the contractor uploading submittals on their site. At the same time, let me see if I can get this to work. You'll see with number 2, there's an automated process that takes that submittal that comes in, and the audit trail kind of starts, and a record is created and dropped into that project's record center. Also, if you look at number 3, the automated workflow is started to take that submittal through the review process for the project team that works on those. And then last, as it goes through actually being reviewed by the TxDOT team's project team, after everything is done, there's also an automatic taking our responses, TxDOT responses, and whatever documents are produced from that review and dropping them into the Record Center. So during the whole process itself, we're real-time collecting records for our Record Center. So for you design experts out there, this should be a really easy answer or question for you to answer. SharePoint is a creation of It is a creation of Microsoft, so it does work very well with documents that are Microsoft products, but as everyone knows, that also comes with its challenges. So I'm going to take you now to the first example of a slide that a site screenshot that is seen first by our contractors after the winning proposer is selected during procurement. They have a procurement site where they are actually submitting documents to us and they're accessing our draft proposals and question and answers. After they are selected, their proposer procurement site is transitioned and converted into a contractor site for them to upload their submittals to us. This is a screenshot from SH360, and if anybody knows Tony Paybearer, this is the project that that he's the manager of in Fort Worth District, and we went up there, he is, and he could probably come up, if we could convince Tony to use the system, I think we can convince anybody to use the system and evidence its benefits. So he could probably come up and give this presentation from here forward just as well. This is when the contractor goes in and uploads their submittals. You see that there's a couple of options there for them to upload either a submittal, an RFI, general correspondence, and then revisions for that. With 360, we were asked to develop the draw request process on here as well, which has worked out very effectively. This is actually when the collection of metadata and the audit trail and even our reporting services starts. This next slide illustrates some of the best SharePoint features, especially the fact that we have the automated workflows, beginning with the developer uploading or downloading a document, and then it going through the actual review process, and then it ending with doc control and our ability to do our record keeping. These workflows are automated, and they capture a very clear and documented audit trail. As you can see on the list here, we listed some of the other features that are available. There's reporting features that allow that up-to-date tracking for any of these submittals or inspection reports that come in through the process. So these workflows keep communication for the project team internal to TxDOT and also externally to the developer or contractor moving, and it also ensures that communication is more efficient, and it does eliminate a lot of unnecessary emails. So speaking of communication, what is the earliest form of digital communication? Digital being the key word. This is interesting. So the correct answer is B, ticker tape. I'm not sure how that actually is digital, but that is what we found out from Google. This screenshot itself is a demo project site, so it doesn't have any of the unique characteristics of an actual one of our actual projects. It's what we use for training purposes. This is an internal team site, so the contractor developer is firewalled from being able to gain access to this site. It is used by TxDOT and any consultants that support us during our contract oversight and management functions for the project. Unfortunately, we aren't live, or maybe that's fortunate. I keep doing this wrong button, but maybe that's fortunate for y'all. I can't click on any of these links to kind of show you what happens at these links, but when the contractor uploads a submittal, it usually lands here as doc control being the first set of individuals that actually go claim that. It also starts tracking action items for individuals based on who is signed in as the user, and then for the project itself. You'll see here there's several links, including working files. A lot of times the working files during the procurement phase of the project are still linked here in case there are things that have to be researched or reviewed. I also want to point out that there's down here for project controls or logs for project control tracking. The Record Center link is not on here, but there is a link that is directly to the Record Center for that project, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. And there's also a whole set of reports that actually are generated out of SharePoint, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So this is a closer view of the doc control function. This is, again, when they go in and claim an actual submittal that comes in, they make the assignments for it. It ensures that we start tracking timelines on the submittal. Metadata is being captured at this time, and it also, the users can also set up a whole set of alerts in order to let whatever reviewer know that something has been submitted or is ready for their review. And down here is where you can see how some of this, the more detailed metadata is being added to it. So this is an example of one of the reports in SharePoint for a project. This is submittal review status report. Don't look at these dates because they're wrong. They don't work out the right way, but what happens based on the metadata that's provided, you would end up getting red dates for a warning that, that a due date is coming up, and obviously the red would be things that the due date has passed for and need to be resolved. We have several canned reports in SharePoint that allow you to query and actually export to Excel and PDF, all the other type of options that you have for reports and documents. And again, alerts can also be set up on these reporting features. So while this slide itself seems to be kind of the last slide in the process because it's about our records, I want to point out that our records, again, are being captured throughout the whole life cycle of the project itself. And pre-procurement is when we start capturing our actual records. And our records libraries are, so we have 6 records libraries. Pre-procurement, most of them are usually ending up in this actual library itself. But SharePoint is set up, it can be set up with a folder structure, but our SharePoint has converted over completely to a tagging structure. Excuse me. So instead of folders, we create libraries where your documents sit together, or records, and they get categorized or classified based on the tags. Let me take a drink. So our tagging structure in SharePoint is set up based on our file plan, our records file plan, and it also allows us to be compliant with our records retention schedule. So I've saved this question for last, the best question for last. So the answer is C, although I'm sure some of you think that this could be a multi-answer question. So in summary, before my voice goes out completely, these are some of the benefits that we've experienced from using SharePoint. I'm not going to go through these. You can read them. But one of the things that I haven't emphasized is the security of SharePoint. We recently had an SAO audit, and because it was web-based, it was very easy to access records for their working documents and to review those documents and to get access to them securely. We were commended by both TxDOT's records management section and also the SAO audit for the ease of this and also the minimal impact that it had on project teams in having to try to go gather documents and use resources to provide documents to the auditors. The actual security of SharePoint was also tested, and the SAO auditor, our project manager for the SAO audit, was an IT expert. So we passed that kind of audit gate with flying colors. So I think I'm done. I think my voice is done.